That's how they can.
Okay.
That's how they can save some money. I mean, that's what the whole thing is all about. Have you read any of the stuff this guy, Dr. Emanuel, who's Rahm Emanuel's brother, has written about eugenics? I mean, only the fittest are allowed to survive, and all these, quote, subhuman races have to leave. I mean, this guy is a nutcase. He sounds like Adolf Hitler.
Oh,
I couldn't believe it. I mean, this guy has got a couple of screws loose.
He lost them. There's a man out there by the name of Dr. David James Manning that has been shouting this for months out of New York from his ministry of 25,000. I played him yesterday, and he's literally calling this government in Washington D.C. Leftover Nazism of Nazist government, and he does it daily. I'm surprised they hadn't taken him out.
We've been carrying his tapes, not all of them, but we've had several of them. And he's quite a character, but he's right. And you didn't mention the fact that he's a black minister, which I'm sure really frosts the president. And it's surprising, but he's very outspoken, and he's right. And I think his congregation probably is happy that they're being told the truth and not being given a spoonful of pablum. But anyway, getting back to the deficit, they're going to use smoke and mirrors. There's no way you can get it down in 2 months for $300 billion. I mean, give me a break. I mean, where are they going to get the money from? What are they going to cut? They got to cut something. And you know, the federal government's been putting on new employees like mad, trying to affect the unemployment rate. And you know, they're the highest hirer of people. And so I really question whether they can do it. But you know, the overall commitment to debt that has been made in the last 2 years by the Treasury and the Fed is $23.7 trillion. I mean, a colossal figure, and that comes from the Inspector General of the United States on that subject. He gave that testimony before Congress, and of course the administration is furious. And he used government figures, and they lie about all their figures. So goodness knows what the heck the figure really is. Is it 50 million or 30 million? I mean, who knows? Not million, excuse me. 50 trillion or 30 trillion, who knows? The whole thing is crazy.
Mr. Chapman, a question comes in from the wife of a Marine, as you very well know, Betty from Southern California. She comes in and says, Mr. Chapman, just a small dumb question. Mr. Buffett says the federal debt is posing a major risk to the economy, and people are being laid off around the United States left and right. And now we're hearing reports to the scuttlebutt with here around San Diego, that officers are being mustered out of the Corps with 13, 14, and 15 years because they're standing up against what's going on in Washington with the overspending. Can you give us any input whatsoever?
I heard the same thing that she heard, and it's not only spending. There's a number of other issues, and anybody at all who voices any kind of a complaint, they just can them. And they started doing it several months ago. And so you people in the military, if you want to stay in, you got to keep your mouth shut, or you're going to lose your job. You know, they'll come up and say, well, your leadership marks aren't good enough, so we got to get rid of you. Or they come up with all these dingbat excuses. And if they want you out, they get you out. And, you know, when I was in, there was always people who just didn't like you. And if they're higher up than you are, if they're a colonel and you're a lieutenant, you got a problem because they're going to find a way to get rid of you. It's always gone on in the military. I know, I was there. But there is some serious problems right now in all branches of people speaking out. And don't speak out if you want to stay in. And they just, a guy puts 13, 15, 18 years in. I've run into two people, one with 16 and one with 18, get canned for speaking out. So you can't do it unless you want to leave. And, of course, for younger people who have 6 years and 8 years and that sort of thing, it's something to think about because you may get to 18 and 19 years, they may kick you out and you got nothing.
That's right. If you don't have 19 years and 6 months, you get squat. Now, you can petition if you get up to 18 years and 3 months. You can petition at 18 years and 3 months for a waiver. But you literally have got to be nice guys with your U.S. congressman to get that. I do know of two master gunnery sergeants in the Vietnam era that protested the Vietnam War with 18 years and 3 months. They were summarily dismissed, and that I was just at that time I had only been in the Marine Corps 2 years. I was a sergeant, E5, headed to Vietnam on my first tour of duty, and I wasn't even in 2 years, and I think I was in for like 21 months, and I felt sorry for both of these men. One of them I was specifically my direct CO in the enlisted grade, and I sat down with him and I said, well, I have somebody in Washington, D.C. that I know. If you would like for me to contact them to see what they can do, because he literally they gave him his mustering out papers. He had 2 weeks, and he had put in 18 years and 3 months in the Marine Corps. I picked the phone up and called, at that time, my congressman was Joe D. Wagner, who was in charge of the Armed Services Committee in Washington, D.C., and I told him about the situation, about these two men that worked in the Photo Recon Division of the United States Marine Corps, and he looked into it and got back and was offered these men, or had somebody in the Marine Corps offered them their full retirement with the waiver, or they could take orders and be stationed at another duty station. Both of them chose to go ahead and take their retirement of their 20-year retirement and leave the Corps because they saw the writing on the wall. If they had gone somewhere else, they would have been, something might have been put into their record to make them look really bad and set them up for some major crime. And both of them did not want to do it. And both of those men are now in their 80s, and they're still friends of mine.
When I was over in Germany, we had a top sergeant, 19 years, and they kicked him out. And there was nothing wrong with the guy. This is not something new. Somebody gets a grudge against you, and they just get rid of you. I mean, your whole career is blown, and it happens in corporate America too, not just in the military.
Exactly. Mr. Chapman, this is from Lisa in Seattle. She says, the International Money Fund has been warning the public of the United States and the rest of the world about the risk of the global imbalances, primarily the United States currency account deficits and the surpluses in China. I hear this daily as I shop in the Chinese district here for the many herbs and vitamins. Today, a chief economist has offered a grim solution to the economy and that may suffer the Reading Act if it fails. Mr. Oliver Blanchard came forth and said, unless the United States can refocus its economy more toward exports and China more toward imports, the United States recovery will probably be anemic, because American consumers aren't going to quickly revert back to their pre-crisis spending ways. Is this a legitimate solution that you see, Mr. Chapman?
No, and I'll tell you why. And the man from the IMF knows this. Free trade, globalization, offshoring, and outsourcing has decimated manufacturing in the United States and also has had a great impact in the service industry as well. Everybody cheats on their currency in exporting to the United States, and that's wrong, and it's against the WTO rules, but the U.S. doesn't say anything. And the reason why is they take the dollars that they receive from us, and they were buying Treasury paper with it and agency paper, which is Fannie and Freddie, et cetera. And they